Hello and welcome to week 2 of your prenatal yoga class following loss. My name's Ree. I will be your yoga teacher for the next 5 weeks. You may need a cushion for today's class and maybe 2 baked bean tins or 2 blocks, just to allow your body to find a bit more space in one of our postures, or perhaps not. Depends on where you're at with your own flexibility and pregnancy. Just a gentle reminder that whilst yoga is considered generally safe in all trimesters, this class is for those who are 14 weeks and over. So today's class is all about connection. So following loss, we know that connecting with our body can feel incredibly challenging. It can feel incredibly confronting. And whilst today's class is by no means a fast track through any of those emotions, I thought it would be really beneficial to give us the opportunity to really connect with our bodies on a physical level. So noticing how our body feels, how it moves in relation to the earth. Give us the opportunity to perhaps notice our asymmetries, embrace our strengths, maybe kind of notice but not judge any weaknesses. And in doing so, in connecting with our physical body, perhaps we are able then to turn the connection inwards and find a moment to connect with our baby. But of course, take what you need from this class and work at whatever level feels right for you and for your baby in this moment. Okay, so as always, we are going to begin by taking 3 conscious breaths together to really just rid us of the energy of the day and just bring us into the moment. So maybe you close down the eyes, bring hands to baby, let's inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, sigh. Inhale. Exhale, sigh. Last one, inhale. Okay. If the eyes are shut, let's gently blink them open. We're going to release the hands and we're actually going to come and lie down for the first part of our class today. So I like to have a cushion or a block underneath my head. It doesn't matter which side you start with because we're going to do both. I'm lying on my left. But come and find yourself lying down. You want the hand closest to the earth, so my left hand, pressing down, palm face down into the earth. And then just check, are your hips stacked on top of each other? And bring your knees so that they are in line with your hips, 90 degrees. Make sure that you're not kind of rocking backwards or forwards too much. And then we're going to come through some very gentle articulations of the spine. So obviously, whenever we're doing any sort of twisting, we want to be led by the core muscles and the sensations that we're feeling in our abdomen. We don't want any compression, any discomfort. So it might mean, especially if you are further into your pregnancy, that you don't get too much movement in this posture. Just allow your body to guide you. So as we inhale, we bring that right hand on top of left. And then gently stroke left arm across left chest. And then allow the gaze maybe to come to the ceiling as that right elbow comes over towards the right side. I've obviously got a wall in front of me, so I can't get too far. But as we exhale, we then slide right hand across and back to meet left. So we're inhaling, finding this really gentle articulation of the spine. We're not extending that right arm all the way back. You're always keeping it bent. So it's always the elbow that's leading. And then exhaling, we're scooping back. And trying to keep the hips really nice and still here. So it's the movement from the lower back. And like I said, you actually might not be getting too much movement at all if you're starting to feel compression or pulling across the bump. Moving in a way that feels authentic to you, really coming to this place of connection. Allow your body to guide your movement. Let's take one more here. So inhaling. And exhaling. Okay. We're going to bring that right hand onto top of our hip. And again, just check that right hip should be stacked on top of left. Some people like to stay with this left arm reaching out in front of them because it adds a bit of a stabilizer. Other people may find that actually now they want to bring their left arm underneath their ear. So coming into whatever is most comfortable for you. We're going to come through some hip circles and work into that glute, an area which we often don't work when we're pregnant. So as we exhale, we want the sensation of this right hip pulling away from right ribs. So create a little bit of space here. Allow the right hand to hold on to that right hip bone. And then we're just going to very gently draw right knee as if we're coming up towards the nose. And then exhale, open it up towards the ceiling, back, round, and down. So we're not moving the hips, we're not rocking, we're not trying to kind of get it really wide open. The hips are staying really still. The movement is coming from that glute. So inhaling, knee towards nose, and up, exhaling, back, and down. Maybe already starting to feel it in that right glute. We take two more. And one more. And then let's just give that bum a little bit of a rub. Okay, we're going to come onto the other side. So for some of us, we may feel comfortable just rolling onto our back and joining onto the other side. For many of us, me included, I don't feel comfortable rolling on my back at the moment because of the pressure. So I'm going to very gently find my way up to sit and just switch sides. Again, we're finding that cushion. Oh, allow the right hand, if that is the one closest to the earth, palm face down, hips and knees in a 90-degree angle. Left hand is on top of the hips to make sure that they're stacked. And then we come through that gentle twist. So left hand on top of right. As we inhale, we become to open. And as we exhale, we close. So you might notice that you have a little bit more openness on one side than the other. That's absolutely fine. We are not forcing this movement at all. It's really, really gentle. Moving with the breath. Maybe finding a moment of pause in this gentle articulation before then returning the hand. Let's take one more here. Okay, and then there's of course the option as we come into our glute work to bring that right arm underneath right ear. Left hand comes on to the hips to make sure that they're not going to start rocking. If they rock, it just means that you won't really be working into the glute. As we exhale, feel the hip move away from those left ribs. So finding space between the hip and the ribs. And then as we inhale, we draw left knee up towards the nose and ceiling. Exhale, draw it down and back. So it's like you're trying to draw an O with that knee, a circle. But we're not opening through the hip here. We're not kind of rocking backwards and forwards. It just might even be a really small movement for you, feeling it in the glute. Let's take 2 more. Okay, and then let's give that bum a little massage. Okay, and then we gently press hands into the earth to come and find ourselves into a, well, we're actually going to come into an all fours pose, but take your time, maybe you come up through seated first, and then into all fours. Okay, so we're going to come through our cat and cow, which we did last week. So as we inhale, we're pressing the shins into the earth, spine is nice and long, flat back. And as we exhale, we press into the hands, round through the upper back, gazes towards baby. So inhaling, flat back. Exhale, we round. And as always, there's the option to stick with that movement, or perhaps you come into some circles, maybe moving a little bit more intuitively into maybe places that are a little bit stickier. Remembering if you go in one direction, to go in the other. Okay, let's come back into all fours. We're going to step that right foot, the outside, well, to off the edge of the mat. So the toes are pointing forwards towards the short edge, or maybe even kind of at a 45-degree angle. You can move them as we move, but we're just going to come into a few rock backwards and forwards with that right leg extended, really feeling openness into that right hip. Maybe you bend into that right leg and start to come through kind of almost like a stirring motion. For some reason, I always imagine that I'm like stirring a cauldron with this one. Don't really know why. But just find the openness through that right hip. Yours might look a little bit smaller, it might look a little bit bigger. Just moving in a way that feels good in your body. And then let's bring right knee back to meet left, and we're going to take it on the other side. Again, obviously I've got this wall here. So the left leg, in fact, let's spin round. The left leg steps off the mat, toes are pointing forward, or maybe ever so slightly 45 degrees. And then we're going to rock backwards and forwards. And then, of course, there's that option of bending into that knee, that left knee, and maybe coming through some circles. So these are really good exercise practice, especially in preparation for labour. They're opening through the hips, the pelvic floor, finding strength and flexibility, which is definitely needed. Okay, and then when you're ready, let's bring the knees back together. Come and sit on the heels. And take this moment for connection. So perhaps you are sitting just in connection with noticing how the body's feeling after that movement. Perhaps noticing the heart rate, the breath. Maybe the connection of your shins and feet pressing into the earth, being held. Or perhaps for our final few breaths, you're bringing hands to baby. And taking this moment to sit in connection with this little being that you are growing. Knowing that this movement is so beneficial for them. This rocking your heartbeat as their lullaby. Okay. Let's keep the eyes open, release the hands. We're going to come back on to all fours. This is where you might want to have your blocks or your baked bean tins, or perhaps not. We are going to step that right foot towards the front of the mat. So let's send that right foot to the back of the mat. As we exhale, we draw baby in and up, and then step right foot to the outside edge of right hand. As last week, you might need to help it. You might just be able to step it there. Whatever feels right in your body. Once we've arrived, we're going to move through a little fluid movement. So as we inhale, we sink into that front hip. And then as we exhale, we draw the right hip backwards, coming to find kind of a straight leg. It doesn't have to be, a perfectly straight leg. You can have the knee ever so slightly bent. You just want to feel a bit of kind of stretch through that hamstring. Being really careful here if you are hyper flexible, that you aren't going past the point of a straight leg and that knee isn't dipping, especially with all of the relaxing in our body, our joints and our ligaments can overstretch. So if in doubt, keep a slight bend in that right knee. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. You can, of course, always do this on a birthing ball. So if you want to have a birthing ball here, you can be resting on the birthing ball and kind of rolling backwards and forwards. Let's take one more little bit of movement here. Noticing the connection of the heel into the earth as you rock, and then come back to find stillness. If you're on your baby tins, let's come off, place the hands on the earth. We're going to prepare to stand. So we tuck the back toes, quickly lift the back knee, take a rock, and step left foot to the outside edge of left hands. Now, if you are more than 32 weeks pregnant, keep your squat nice and high. If not, perhaps you bend into a slightly deeper squat. Allow the hands to find the thighs, squeeze through the glutes as we walk the hands up the thighs. Coming to stand, turn the toes so that they're facing the short edge of the mat. And inhale, maybe we reach the hands high to the sky. And exhale, maybe they come through heart center. And release them down by the earth, by the sides. Okay, so this is where we're going to do a little bit of balance work. So again, working in a way which feels comfortable to you. I like to have a wall nearby. We're going to bring the feet underneath the hips. And we're just going to start off by noticing the connection of the feet to the earth. Do we roll inwards? Do we roll outwards? Trying to get an even balance of the feet, all four corners pressing into the mat. And then possibly we just start a really gentle rock backwards and forwards, noticing the connection of the feet to the earth. Maybe we even rock side to side. Okay, once we've got that connection with our feet, perhaps, and again, only going as far as you feel comfortable, we start to take the rock on the feet a little bit more. So maybe we are coming onto the balls of the toes on the rock forward, and maybe we are allowing the toes to come up on the rock back. Maybe we go a little bit higher. Always the option to hold onto the wall if needed. And perhaps you stay here, just focusing on the connection, focusing on as you rise on the balls of the foot, you feel almost like the inner arches are lifting up. So we're engaging through the pelvic floor. Ooh, wonderful. And then as you exhale, coming onto the heels, maybe this is enough. Just focusing on the glutes, pulling up through the pelvic floor as you rise. Or perhaps you want to add some arms. So maybe reaching the hands up as you come up on the toes. And maybe you even decide to bend into the knees as you come back. So inhaling up, exhaling back. Wherever you are, using a point on the floor in front of you. Always feel free to use the wall or use kind of step down the move to wherever it's comfortable for you. Wherever you are there, let's take 5 more. Really focusing on that connection, squeezing through the glutes as you rise. Pelvic floor is engaged. Perhaps feeling heat rising in the body, the heart rate maybe rising. Last one, inhale. And then coming to stand, let's bring hands to baby. If comfortable, maybe close down the eyes. Let out a sigh. And then again, there's this sense of connection. Perhaps you're focusing on the feet pressing down into the earth, this sensation of grounding. Perhaps you're connecting to the physical sensations in the body, the heartbeat, the breath, the heat. Maybe even feeling the endorphins. Or perhaps you are connecting to baby in this moment of stillness. Okay. Let's bring the eyes open, release the hands. We're going to make our way back down to the earth. So as we inhale, we reach the hands high to the sky. As we exhale, we come for a squat. Again, 32 weeks, we stay nice and high. 32 weeks and under, we can come into a nice deep squat. It feels comfortable for you. Make sure that the glutes are activated. So we're squeezing at the knees. The knees aren't doing this. We're squeezing the knees out. Allow the hands to find the thighs. Walk the hands down the thighs, all the way to the earth, and then step that left foot, sorry, not that left foot, our right foot to the back of the mat, and allow that right knee to drop. Again, there's always the option to have your blocks here as we come through our lizard pose. So we're inhaling, softening into that left hip. And then exhaling, coming through maybe a straight or maybe an almost straight leg on the left. So again, it's just a sensation of stretching through the hamstring that we're looking for as we pull back. Connecting our breath to movement. Again, noticing if there are any asymmetries. Maybe one side felt more fluid than the other. Trying to notice, but without judgment. Okay, then let's come back into our static pose. Come off the blocks and bring right left knee to meet right. There's the option, should you wish to take it, for a downward facing dog, take 3 breaths, or perhaps you're coming into your child's pose, allow the knees to be nice and wide, forehead to the earth, or maybe you're sitting on your heels, wherever feels comfortable for you and bump. Okay, wherever you are, we come down from downward facing dog, or come and sit up from child's pose. Come and find yourself bum to the earth. Send the legs out in front of you. Connect the soles of the feet to the earth, fingers behind the hips. And again, we come through this rocking of the hips. And then send the legs out in front of us. Take a little shake, a little wiggle. Maybe rotate through the ankles, the wrists. And then let's come and prepare for our Shavasana, our final rest pose. So perhaps that's lying down on your left side with a cushion under your head. Perhaps that's sitting with your back against a wall, hips higher than knees, so sitting on a cushion. Take whatever rest pose feels right in your body. And I'm going to ding a little bell at the 5-minute mark, and then we'll close our session. But should you wish to stay in Shavasana, then please do. Okay, so you are in your rest pose, eyes closed. Allow the breath to melt, no longer being controlled. So today we've been working on connection, connecting with our physical body, connecting breath and movement, and perhaps connecting with our baby. And so now, as you lay here, supported, held by the earth, really soften, relax into this connection. And allow yourself to be truly grounded, fully relaxed. So if you're wanting to come out of relaxation, let's gently begin to bring our attention back to the breath. Perhaps you breathe a little deeper down towards baby. And perhaps you breathe a little bit of movement into the fingers and the toes. Maybe some movement into the arms. And then gently making your way up into a comfortable seated pose. And as always, let's end our class the way we began, with a conscious breath together. Let's inhale deeply through the nose. Open the mouth, really sigh. Let's bring our hands to prayer heart center, bow the head to the hands. Take a moment in this place of connection. And then when you're ready, let's release the hands and blink the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. And I hope to